Fine if your camera's
You are
not,
about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right, we are live, but are we? I don't see us on X. What happened?
All right, guys, we are going to speed through the show today.
Well, hold up. I don't see us playing. Are we playing on X right now? No. Why is that? How do we add that? Let's see. Hold up a sec, guys, before we go hog wild over here. But yeah, we do have to do get the guest up quickly because he only has about 20 minutes, and then Bawdy also needs to go up front. So let me see here. How do I get this? Damn it! Why isn't it playing?
Well, if you can't figure it out in quick succession, we're just.
Oh wait, I think it may have come up now.
Okay.
Let's check that. I think we are live on X now. All right. We are live, guys. We have a quick. We're going to be doing a fast-paced show today, at least in the beginning. We got our guest, not an FBI honeypot, who's going to jump up. And then we have Bawdy, who's going to do price. We didn't want to miss either of those. So without further ado, let's bring up the guest.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exelix, privacy-first multi-chain swap aggregator designed for seamless instant swaps. Exchange XMR instantly with the fully non-custodial, KYC-free experience and secure execution across hundreds of blockchains.
Wrong one.
He played the wrong one.
Yeah, that
was... Go ahead and play the right one. It's okay. But replay the correct one.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, there we go. Guys, like and share. We're moving fast today, but let's get the word out. Let's get some people in the room, in the stream, watching. So everybody that's watching now, please give it a share, give it a retweet. Let the people know that we are live. So our guest today is not an FBI honeypot. I've seen this guy lingering on X for quite some time now. I don't know much about him. We have somebody helping us out with bringing on guests. He's been doing a great job, and he recommended bringing on not an FBI honeypot. And so we have. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. Awesome. I'm glad to be here. I'm a huge fan of people on the internet, especially in the Monero space. Though I didn't really ever plan on getting on Twitter because are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, try to be somewhat reasonable, but go, speak your mind.
It sucks. It sucks a lot. I just don't like social media in general. I never even really planned on making a YouTube channel. It kind of happened out of an accident, and like somewhat of me posting like Linux meme type shorts, and then I started using like other products like Graphene OS, and I kind of got like Monero pilled by accident as well, which pretty much led me down to like trying to educate people to better privacy alternatives and like self-hosting. And then I got some good advice essentially to, if I'm going to do it on YouTube, I should put my brand everywhere. And that's what essentially got me to go on Twitter. And I didn't realize there was a lot of like Monero stands really on Twitter, to be honest, or X or whatever people call it. I was more of like drawn to Nostr in general, but I got to go where the masses are. So that's why I mainly produce content on YouTube. I do a lot of live streaming where I go over misconceptions in the privacy community, like explaining how Monero works. Because I'm not really a technical person, and I want to appease to like an audience of people that are afraid to touch like the command line or or touch grass or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how did you find your way to Monero?
It's so like I kind of like was I wouldn't say a Bitcoin maxi. I was more of like a crypto maxi because I think that digital sovereignty comes along with owning like your assets, owning your money. And I was like very unaware of like how Bitcoin really worked. And then I read the paper and started hosting my own Lightning node. And I thought that was like a more private way of running Bitcoin. And it's not really the case, to be honest. So someone suggested Monero to me, and I kind of like just bought some through like seeing like my Lightning for it, and used it for like a few other things, but I didn't really know what it was. And then I read some of the like Monero papers and like how it worked, and I kind of like shifted away from Bitcoin and kind of went there. And I like Monero more as like a utility than really a price action. Like Bitcoin, I was really more like, hey, price is like what matters. I want to become a millionaire overnight, like with it, but that's just not possible because I think Bitcoin in a sense has been compromised with the fact that you have huge mining facilities that are like making, you're competing against like, the BlackRock of crypto, in my opinion. So like it's very difficult for people to actually obtain I would say Bitcoin wealth, and I think Monero solves that.
Is Bitcoin an FBI honeypot?
I think Michael Saylor's probably a federal agent, and the whole like the whole like Bitcoin space is really only care about price action, not utility. Really, there are some like good innovations in there, like Nostr. I think it's one of the best things that came out of it, but that's really just public and private key cryptography, like working to own your social media platform. Like X, you don't really own the platform. You don't own your user handle. Elon Musk can come down and be like, you know what, Douglas, I don't care. I don't like you. I don't like your political opinion. I'm going to ban your account. And you don't really have a say in it. With Nostr, like you kind
of had it done to the XMR Bazaar account. They
for sure.
It. Yeah.
And I want to bring more like Monero like centric people to Nostr, because I think the values align more, because they get to own the platform, they get to own their identity. And there's definitely improvement. It's only been around for 5 years. There's definitely improvements that need to be done. And I like that with Monero, I can, just like Nostr, I can run my own node, which I do. And I buy and sell and trade stuff for Monero. Monero's kind of like been it's kind of like, saying F you to the bank. Because like, if you've ever tried to pull out like any amount of money in the bank that's like too big to their standards, and if it's a timeline crunch, then you know what? Sorry, you gotta wait. We gotta put a hold on it, even though you earned it, you own it.
Right. You realize you don't really own your money when it's in a bank, right? It's like they give you access to money.
Yeah, even if you earned it and owned it.
Crazy.
So
crazy.
Are you on Nostr at all? Because I just searched for not an FBI honeypot and don't see you.
I am. I own the domain, the user handle that I bought. But I'll drop it somewhere on your guys' video, because I use Cubes OS's. I thought this wasn't going to work because I use Cubes, and Cubes is like very restrictive. And I even suggest, if you like do any form of like cryptocurrency like trading, or like you hold any, you should use Cubes OS, because the compartmentalization is far superior than like really any other operating system that you can get, especially like with Linux not really being like super homogeneous in like the terms of like security.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, the only thing with Nostr is, right, like you said, you came to X because that's where the people are, right? Or that's where more content is. If you're out there trying to spread ideas, ideas among people that aren't already, keen to them.
Already
Right?
killed. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You need to go to X. That's the best place to do it. Yeah, but it's not purely censorship resistant, right? Elon can kick you off whenever he wants. But yeah,
And
the
he
problem
has.
with the problem with Nostr is everybody there. The normies aren't there. The normies aren't there. I'm like a
Yeah.
bridge between I'm not as based as you are, or as like, computer savvy, right? I'm not a Linux dude. I'm a Monero guy, but I'm like,
Based.
I've been in Monero for a very long time. But I'm not very, like tech savvy, but Monero works for that, right? You could be kind of half a tech idiot and still use Monero correctly. And that's what I love
For
about
sure.
Monero. And then I just
actually
try to
use
bring it to the masses, and yet you got to be on X for that, like you're saying, right?
I use I just got a Monero debit card because there was this is no hate to like any wallet out there, but a lot of the wallets that do like swapping to like debit, like get this gift card, get this, those merchants control if they want to accept this or not. So that's one of my biggest gripes with the wallet space that wants to do all these like get these prepaid debit cards. But if you do anything that's like an absurdly high amount, it's been rejected. So it leaves somewhat a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't think it's going to be really solved without, like, I would prefer direct Monero payment. And actually, it in a sense, I think that, I mean, this is like my like tinfoil, like maybe schizophrenic big idea that I want to happen in America is I think we need a MoneroCon and like Monerotopia like event. I think we need to do it in the US because not everyone has a passport. Not everyone wants to travel. Not everyone can travel. I mean, if you think about like time, cost, and money, like me going out to like, Poland to go talk to people that already agree with the Monero, they're making the trip because they already agree with Monero. They already wanted it, like they're already involved in it. Yeah, but in America, like we don't really have like a good like workshop where like a big conference where people can go and educate like the local masses.
Yeah, we actually the first Monerotopia was in the US. It was in Miami. It was alongside the Bitcoin conference at the time.
Oh wow!
It was amazing. It was a good one.
It's awesome,
and it was very accessible. But as accessible as that sounds, Miami is also not very good because it's so expensive, and there's multiple reasons why we do it. Why we've been doing it in Mexico City. I mean, Mexico City, tremendous city. Whatever, like 20 million people in the wider city.
Dude, in Kansas, man, there's like no one out there.
It's very easzy globally for people to get to in terms of visas too. Like a lot of people in this sphere globally don't want to come to the U.S. They don't want to come into the U.S. or they don't want to get the visa. They don't have to deal with that. I mean, we have people like coming in from Russia that may not like want to. So like there's that reason too. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, and maybe we try to do another I think at some point we'll try to do a Monerotopia in the U.S. Next one, I'm pretty sure we're going to be back in Mexico City just because there's still things we want to do there. I don't know if you saw what goes on there, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, people are like, we have a whole marketplace of people using Monero. It's pretty wild. Hard to pull that off here. A little harder to pull that off here in the U.S. But yeah, we need to do things like that, and we could do smaller events. People could do meetups. We need more of that happening. Do you use XMR Bazaar? Just curious if that's something that you've.
Yeah, I like it. It's like the the eBay. I use it. I mainly use Monero. The first time I ever used it was digital. I think it's called Digital Goods. It's you can buy like, what do you call it? Like I buy my email aliasing through them. I bought in Tutanota, like my Tutanota like email through them. Like they just give it like they give you a discount too, which is kind of cool. And I think that's what like I've used Monero primarily very digitally for like the last couple years. And it's essentially been like the best experience in terms of like, I don't have to leave my house because I hate to. But it sucks because like when you're in public, so like when you're like, oh, I want to like, I mean, I've used Lightning like 3 times in public in my entire existence. And it was like all outside the United States because some other countries like it because of like the fees. There's like no, like the transaction fees are like pennies compared to like whatever like Visa and like MasterCard and whoever else like payment terminals are like charging. So that's why they prefer it. I mean, obviously cash too, but it's XMR Bazaar is very cool. I've sold a couple things there, vice versa, and bought things that I've never had an issue. Someone gifted me my blue check mark though, which was kind of funny because I refused to get it because Elon's platform doesn't accept Monero, and I was like, the last thing I want to do is give him my my information or like my card information, even though there's like mass credit cards and stuff like that. I was like, he should just accept Monero. Like
someone bought it for you, and you.
Someone. Yeah,
oh,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was very. I didn't know you could gift it, but some random person gifted it to me. It was very nice of them. So, very based. Now I can write longer sentences and bully more people on the internet that support on free software options.
What are most of your videos about? Your YouTube videos?
A lot of it's was Graphene OS based. Like Graphene OS was kind of like, I used to use Calyx OS, and then I realized that it's not really a good platform because I think security should be like the highest priority, especially if your mobile operating system is like objectively the most sensitive and can be the most compromised. I mean, you have people have their banks on there, their social media, their platform, their email, their 2FA codes, and that's a whole rabbit hole to go down to. Like mobile security is like obviously like far better. I do a lot of like I try to appease to like the normies that are like, hey, I just got like rid of Gmail. Where do I go? Like I'll read like paper, like I'll look for stuff that people like spread that are like false. Like, like a little bit of, I don't want to, the word's kind of cringy, but a little FUD, where they're like necessarily like, they're like, oh, is Intel management system like really a problem? Is it a problem? Sure. But like, then you might as well like be like, can you trust even the motherboard? How can you like, I try to like demystify the trust part and bring rational to security and ease of use too. Not really like in a tutorial way, but like if you used iPhone your entire life, like, and you want to switch to Android and you want the most bloatless, because that's why people like Apple. Like people like Apple because it's like seamless. There's no bloat, there's no ads or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I switch them to Graphene OS. I'm like, you can just have it install like no Google like proprietary services installed, very seamless, very clean. And then they're like, well, what do I do about apps? Well, you can do most of the majority of apps work like without like Google Play services. Notifications actually work without Google Play services. It's, a lot of notifications. Like I don't like notifications in general because they're annoying, but I'm thinking of like the normie. Like I use X in a progressive web app. And I use actually a lot of progressive web apps because they're less privacy invasive and they're technically more secure because of the way the sandboxing works in like Android. So it's kind of nice to bring that to people that are like very lost in the mobile space. And then I do some Monero content. Like I'm going to do a review on the Monero debit card eventually. I just want them to do something first, but I don't think they're going to anytime soon. So I just might do it because I want people to be able to like trust this I don't like endorsing anything because I think that is kind of dangerous because if that company ends up being rogue or like malicious or stealing people's funds, or like they end up being like the next like honey scam that YouTube had, which I mean that's like its own problem. I don't like YouTube's like sponsorship whole thing. It's like a pile. It's like a shit show. But like I want to like show people like, hey, I bought this, I used it, it works, like you're good, like you can use it. So like I'm just very like my ADHD, I hate editing. That's my problem. I hate editing so much with a dying passion. So I do a lot of live streams now.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I
like
think
doing the live streams. Exactly. It's just out there.
I love it.
The content out there. Right.
And I get to think like I get to find stuff. I do a lot of deep dives on Tor. I try to demystify Tor, that it's not some place that like is filled with like a bunch of drug dealers. I mean, it is, but so is like Twitter. And so, I mean, you could buy drugs on Snapchat probably right now.
We just added, published a .onion address for XMR Bazaar, by the way.
Based. I love it.
Yes.
I love.
And then you mentioned the progressive web apps. That should be working now for XMR Bazaar as well. I welcome
Nice.
you to
I
test
love
it out.
it.
I'm pretty sure it's now live and fully working. Progressive Web App.
Yeah.
It had been launched earlier when we first launched it, but there were some like bugs, issues. But now it should be working according to Anarchia. So
Yeah, and progressive web apps are just awesome. It saves on space. I mean, I don't know if you're on, are you on Apple?
I do. I mean, I have a graphene phone. Actually, Alaska.
Ooh, everyone, ooh.
Yeah, Alaska gave it to me like 2 years ago. But I'm using iOS on the day to day. I just know
that PWAs on Apple suck.
Yeah. But it's. You're on the extreme end, right? You're doing everything right, at least to the best of your abilities.
For sure.
But
us
normies are, we're dealing with other normie things. It's hard for us.
For sure. I don't even tech shame. Like, I think Apple has like really good security out of the gate. This is something that the non-privacy, like the privacy extremists actually, and like the Linux stands, like Linux isn't secure. This gets me hate all the time. Linux out of the gate isn't secure. It's not a homogeneous system. Apple is relatively very good at security. I mean, like, just like when you read how like they work, obviously vulnerabilities exist in like the space. The problem is Android is so unhomogeneous. Like, I mean, you could put Android on a toaster if you want. So like you get such a different experience. Graphene OS is like the bridge for the people that are like, I think Graphene OS is more for the normies. But if somebody like says like, am I going to use a $200 Android that has no security updates, if they're getting ads like left and right versus AIDS, I would say get them like an iPhone, like, E or 16E or whatever, if they don't want to spend a lot of money. And then they got a nice, decently secure phone, and then, educate them about like password hygiene and stuff like that. I think that's the smart thing to do. I mean, you got to think like, I use only like my wallet is only on CubesOS because I fear that like one day software is going to go malicious and it'll extract my keys, and because I'm educated, that's my fault. So I know the solution, and these solutions come from not shaming people, but like actually educating people about like Monero. Like, you wouldn't, if someone came up to you and said, "Hey, I bought Bitcoin with like a debit card and I exchanged it for Monero," you wouldn't be like, screw you, you're stupid, you're lame, you suck. You know what I mean? You'd probably embrace it. And because Monero's privacy mechanisms are so good, you can do this. And as long as you do some like wallet rotation, like you rotate wallets and just run your own node, you solve like 99.99% of the privacy implications that you could run into.
Exactly. It's
for sure. I think
it's noob friendly. It's noob friendly.
Yeah, it's rational, and it's a great. That's what I love about Monero is the fees are low. Like, you can rotate through wallets. If you don't even like a wallet, like a bank account, you're gonna, if you have to leave from like Bank of America to Chase Bank, you got to ask for permission every step of the way. And imagine if it's over $10,000.
Oh my God, I hate dealing with the regular banks, and after using crypto day to day, it's like it's night and day. It's night and day.
Yeah, I wish I had a mortgage.
What's that? A mortgage?
I wish I could do my mortgage. Yeah, somebody needs to do that.
Well, people are doing Bitcoin ones. They're starting to do that, Bitcoin based mortgages. Yeah. Monero, maybe not so much, not yet. Actually, somebody was talking about the idea of doing P2P loans on XMR Bazaar. I threw that out there on X. That would be kind of cool. It'd be cool. Micro loans, and then people can kind of build up their profiles based on successfully paying back a loan. A whole nother topic. But not an FBI honeypot. Really enjoy having you. You're very well versed in the things we care about over here. You're welcome to jump on the show anytime. I just want to move it along because I know you got to go, and then we got Bawdy who's limited on time today as well.
Yeah, feel free to come back for sure.
Yeah, please come back. We got a taste today.
No, I love it.
You're welcome to join anytime, especially viewers on stage, or if there's anything you want to come up and tell people about. Anything you want to get out there today before we close off? Any important information, something that's on your mind, something you want to shill?
Let me think. Watch my content, move to Nostr, fuck Twitter, run your own node. That's pretty much it. And
move Monerotopia to what? Where did you say you want to move to?
Put it in like the worst state I can think of is Kansas. Put it in Stannis. One time in Kansas.
We'll do one in Kansas. All right.
That'd be sick. I'll even come.
I hope so. If I move it to Kansas, you better come.
For sure, for sure.
We will end it there, and we'll get Bawdy up here for the price. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. You have a nice day.
Yeah. Cheers. All right. I do want to keep moving things along. So let's run the price. Bawdy is
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exelix, privacy-first multi-chain swap aggregator designed for seamless instant swaps. Exchange XMR instantly with the fully non-custodial, KYC-free experience and secure execution across hundreds of blockchains.
all right, buddy. Are you there?
Hey, what's up?
All right, man. I hope you still have some time. Obviously, do whatever you can. If you gotta run, let us know.
Yeah, no, I should be fine. Let me see. I'm trying to share my screen here. I should have done this a second ago.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
All right, we should be good now.
Okay. Now he was talking about cube. Buddy, you're using cubes all the time, right?
I wouldn't say I'm using cubes all the time, but yeah, I've been running cubes for a while.
Okay.
I mostly just use it for secure kind of stuff. Like, I log into my bank accounts with cubes, and obviously I keep some crypto on there.
Okay.
It's good. It's a little bit tedious, and it's got quirks. It's always got weird, different little quirks. It works. It's just not convenient.
What makes it so secure that it's just so stripped down, essentially?
Well, one of the models that people have is that everything is basically horribly insecure. Maybe I'm exaggerating there, but the idea is that one of the things that we can do pretty well is isolation at the hardware level. So like hypervisor, meaning that you can divide CPU time, RAM space. A lot of the problems have gotten significantly better, like with ASLR when they randomized RAM allocation, like for running programs. But in general, the notion is that the thing that can pwn people is, like, let's suppose you open a malicious link or a malicious file. If you've done that on your regular system, you might have just pwned yourself. Or if let's suppose you're doing JavaScript, right? And you're downloading a whole bunch of different NPM packages all the time and playing with different stuff. You might end up in a situation where you ran a malicious package. And so the notion of cubes is that it's security through segregation. You create different environments so that even if one of them gets compromised, it doesn't compromise your other ones. Because you're running virtual machines. Essentially, that's what cubes is. You're just running virtual machines. So,
all right. So it's harder to infect, essentially, compromise.
Yeah, like you could infect it, but again, you would be infecting like a particular VM, but you won't be infecting the host, right? So it's
right. Okay.
It's not game over yet. And then you can also do things like isolate your risky activities to particular virtual machines. So
awesome. All right, man, take it away. Another big week. I think it's even been a big 24 hours. I think yesterday things were like mega pumping because the Strait was fully opened. And then I think as of 12 hours ago, the Strait is now closed again, or this morning. It's just unbelievable. It's just really hard to fathom that Trump is like playing this card so many times, and the market is just reacting every time. I mean, yesterday was really like, oh, it's complete. The Strait has never been more open than it is right now. And now today it's like both sides are closing the Strait. It's never been more closed than ever, I think, as of like this morning. I don't know how closely you've been paying attention to that.
No, I've been on vacation since pretty much the last time we got off the price report last week. So.
All right, so I guess that will just make you, less biased as you look at the charts. But yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Well, I think one of the big headliner things we talked about last week was that they had just made some kind of deal to reopen the Straits, and so expect oil to fall, stocks to recover, and crypto to stay sideways because crypto just has nothing to do. There's no correlation with the stock market anymore or risk on anymore. That'll probably change at some point. I don't know if they'll ever go on some new big monetary expansion. But for the meantime, yeah, that was kind of the play. And that's why I said, I can't tell you what they're going to do, except for they're probably going to wiffle waffle, right? They're going to go back and forth. They said, we got it, we did it, we opened the straits, and then they're going to probably close them again to jack the markets around. And I think I've been pretty clear for months now that my primary suspicion about Iran and about Venezuela, that this is all about trying to support the price of oil. Again, that the problem was that the price of oil was falling off, and the reason is there's so much of it. And capacity for refining it has expanded significantly. Obviously, China has just they're on an insane level of growth. And so, the problem is that when we talk about oil, we also have to remember it's sort of the petrodollar, right? Like that entire system is set up in such a way. So we were, the invasion of Venezuela happened like here. And so I can't remember exactly which day it was, but it happened right around there. And I said, yeah, expect that to help the price of oil go up. And then Iran, obviously, that one's a no-brainer. You close the straits, price of oil is going to go up. And so what does that do? It helps support the petrodollar. And we can even see that in the dollar index chart. So we'll go from oil here to dollar index. And you can see that, again, dollar index was kind of looking a bit dubious for a period of time. And again, right around that same time, there was some supports put in. And as the Straits of Hormuz closed and oil pumped, so did the dollar index. And now it's pulled back as of this past week. Again, because the price of oil has gone down in response to the Straits opening. So realistically, I think what we can expect is for them to continue sort of jacking these markets around. I think they want to try and make sure they're going to keep a nice high price of oil. How far do they want it to go? I don't know. That it looks like 150 could be a very reasonable spot, but we kind of got stopped out by this resistance. Let's go to the monthly. That'll show us a little bit better. We didn't even make it all the way there, actually. Like these lines, they're hard to draw. We could try and draw it like that. Maybe now we'd want to draw it like that. So you'll notice that what's happened this month is a sort of a double tap, a double wick. We still have, what is today, the 18th? So there's still plenty of time in the month for this thing to go back up. But as of right now, a double wick at the top usually is a sign that that you're peaking out. So there was a period of time that I was saying, hey, expect maybe 140, perhaps even like 150. Maybe not now, maybe not. I'm not totally sure, right? Who knows? Depends on, I think, what they want to do. I don't think the TA on this chart can actually tell us how high oil is going to go here. But remember, oil needs to sit in this kind of Goldilocks zone. They want oil to exist, not too low, not too high. It's the lifeblood of the military industrial complex. Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at there on the macro. Oil is basically driving the macro. And as a result, as you mentioned, Doug, the stock market mega pumped. It was crazy. It was actually the craziest part about this chart to me is that it was getting ready to just like crash out. Like things, I say crash out, not like 2008, not like .com, but this chart was definitely like getting ready to make some big movements, bigger movements towards the downside and hit some statistical levels. And then reopening the straits just push this chart back to new all-time highs. So like in a statistical sense, with the wave magic and all that, we would have been looking for the S&P 500 probably to get to these orange bands right here. Currently at about 5,800. So all right, cool. Stocks went up, and we said expect that, right? If oil, if they open the straits, expect it to go up. Probably now if that's true, if that's a real headline, and they close the straits, then stocks are going to go down. And of course, probably I bet you the insiders took short positions at Friday close, knowing that the straits were going to be closed again. And so that's all, of course, extremely lucrative. Okay, whatever, but that's just how markets are. We live in the golden age of fraud. If you're an NVIDIA holder, this thing has gone up to almost new all-time highs, not quite, but still like doing pretty good there. Okay, let's go to let's go to crypto. First, actually, we're on the macro. Let's just finish off the macro. Nothing ever happens. We have a little bit of inflation tick up, but that's probably just the price of oil for the most part, and the uncertainty about Iran. We have M2 money still increasing. Federal Reserve balance sheet also now consistently on its way up. You can see for really about since the end of last year, this thing has turned around. I think they said they were going to do that. That shouldn't surprise anybody. Housing market's going to look like they're going to take a tick up here. This is cyclical, right? So we're going into that, housing market peak times, or housing market, the summer is when everyone sells, and that's when prices go up. Or really, I should say everyone's buying. Bonds haven't done anything either. Bonds are just sitting here flat. All right. Like that tells us that things are still basically stable, right? Nothing's happening there. We have Monero, all right? Finally getting to our beloved stablecoin. And guys, I don't know, maybe like, is this thing going to pump? Probably not. It's hard for me to find a reason why Monero could pump on its own right here, right now. I might be a little bit concerned that we could be entering another stablecoin regime where we sort of sit between, say, $300 and $400 for, I don't know, a year or two, another couple years, which is kind of what happened with that 150 average stablecoin price for a period of time. Of course, this will serve shortwave surfer very well because he loves to use the moving average. So moving averages play very well. They play like often they're kind of a magnet for price, right? Mean reversion. So if we end up in a stablecoin profile regime, that's going to serve shortwave very well, and anyone else that wants to sort of swing trade those movements. The problem is, of course, eventually price does actually do something and it goes up or down, and then you sort of your decision to use those moving averages ends up hurting you later on. So you just have to know what part of the market we're in. Right now, I suspect, don't quote me on it, right? Don't come back and knock my door down and be upset, but I suspect that we're probably in some sort of stablecoin zone. Let's just look at these moving averages like this guy right here, maybe down here, something like that. We could probably find ourselves sort of oscillating in this zone for a period of time. That's probably what I would expect there. Sorry for all the degen moon boys out there, all the fucking price Hitler youth. There's degen moon boys that are not Hitler youth as well, so I don't want to isolate them. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, sorry guys, but I don't think that anything's really going to happen there for a while. We'll get some movements, but don't expect much. Okay, XMR BTC is also looking like it wants to drop off, but maybe, I don't know. We'll look at BTC in a second. We're at resistance on Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean that the ratio can't still go down. I don't honestly know what to make of this chart. This is kind of a weird pattern. I've never seen an inverse horseshoe like that. Whatever. The one thing that I'm looking at here that does raise an eyebrow, and this happened, I guess, back in March, really, the end of March. I didn't notice it previously, but this spike up and back down right here, this guy, that is something that I see pretty often just before a liquidity run towards the opposite direction right there. They're basically hitting all the stop losses and maybe in some cases wrecking your margin positions, and then price goes the opposite direction. At the moment, it doesn't look good. It's kind of like, so for example, here's a spot, right? Here's that support, same place for support. And even a little bit right here, kind of the same idea. And price is sitting right there at that exact same spot. So hypothetically, if we kind of believe crypto is not going to do anything, then this probably won't do anything either. But it doesn't look good. Like these candles don't look good. It would not be surprising to watch the ratio take a dip to the tune of, let's measure it from where we are currently. Yeah, maybe like somewhere between 15 and 20%, right? It wouldn't be unsurprising to see the ratio dip down like that. But okay, I don't know if you're trading the ratio. I used to trade it a little bit, but I don't really do that anymore. Let's take a look at the privacy altcoins. Some of them shit. Zcash pumped and it hasn't done anything since for the last week. Okay, that seemed like another little fake pump. Remember, so in a bigger, broader picture, what are we looking at? I think we're looking at a situation where Monero is becoming more respected, more used. We got random people like fucking Clavicular mentioning, hey, use XMR in sort of offhand comments. So that's going to continue, right? Like that kind of adoption, it's grown beyond the sort of cabal's capacity to constrain it, which means that they need to find other ways. If they can't stop the word from getting out, they can distract you into privacy shitcoins, and they can distract you into Zcash by putting mad gains there. And I think that's something we have to just continue to expect over the coming years. They're going to push Zcash and try and make it seem like this is the privacy coin. They're going to try and distract market cap and attention and your investment into other coins. But overall, Zcash didn't really do anything this week in particular. I suppose, I don't know, I don't want to make a prediction here on this coin, but it could go up higher. It's probably right at about the same market cap as Monero. But these standard deviation bands will probably at least be somewhat obeyed. I wouldn't expect Zcash to just crush them to the upside. It'll probably, it'll probably do some sideways action with the rest of the crypto. Like Zcash is not going to just like be the one the golden boy that shines where everything else sucks. They don't, there's not enough adoption. They kind of have to spend money, a little bit of money to push these prices on that. Tari is probably never recovering. I guess it's over. I'm not expecting to ever make anything on that coin. I hope Ricardo got some new bottles added to his wine collection. And now, what's his latest thing? We talked about it last week. Doesn't matter. Now he's with Cow. Okay. Xano has also, it took a little dip and then where do we in the 8 hour? That's a bit of a weird time frame to look at. Let's go to the daily. So it took a little bit of a dip. But did we talk about that last week? I can't remember. Anyway, Xano is basically flat. I don't have any opinion where Xano goes. Cubic is still not in a zone where it could hypothetically attack Monero. If I can get that to, there we go. Yeah, so Cubic is not really in a place where they have the funds to really cause true network disruption. They can still do a little bit of like horsing around, but they really need to be, like another 50 to 100% higher before that becomes viable for them. So nothing to talk about there. Pirate also doing pirate things. This is what the chart looks like all the time. Takes the elevator up, takes the stairs down. I don't know why their chart looks like this. Just kidding. We actually do know why. It's because the supply is ridiculously, stupidly centralized. And they're always like trying to get another pump and then like unload the coins on people that think this time, right? They're excited about this time. That's why this chart looks this way. It's a very common pattern. It actually looks like Ripple. It's a funny, kind of a funny correlation there in how those charts look. So that's the privacy shitcoins. And finally, let's finish off with crypto. Bitcoin currently sitting at some resistance levels, 2 different types of them. So you can see we drew some lines here, some pleb lines. And then we've also got our upper standard deviation band structure, the orange here. So Bitcoin kind of sitting at some resistance. That doesn't mean it can't go higher or even fake out, right? It could do that and then come back down. I wouldn't really be trying to take along here personally. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess it looks, I guess Bitcoin had a nice little run up here for after all the Trump and Iran and all that. But is that really like 8%? It's 5%. For the stock market, 5 to 8% is pretty big, but for Bitcoin, it's definitely not. So what we're sitting here in is this broadening structure. That's what it has now turned into, is this kind of broadening structure. Sorry for the bloops, but not my computer. Anyways, so this is a little bit of a broadening structure right here. Is this going to break to the upside, downside? I still expect lower prices eventually. Maybe something fundamental will change, some kind of news cycle could change to fix that. But we still got to suspect that this is probably not going to resolve towards the upside just yet. So that's just my opinion on that. We'll have to play it by ear. Maybe the structure will change. Maybe the cycle will change, the monetary cycle. Maybe something in the news or fundamentals will change, and that will change our opinion. But at the moment, this thing is still just kind of like riding along, inside of expected channels. It's not really breaking out. It's not doing anything that's impressive. Same situation. Nothing has changed from last week when it comes to the altcoins, except for somehow Bitcoin Cash is they were the darling for quite some period of time, and now they managed to actually be really not that great. But we looked at that chart. We won't look at it right now, but that's to be expected. All right, so Tron also still flying pretty high. I kind of want to actually look at Tron right now. I should buy some stupid Tron. The only reason I would buy Tron is just because of they're like a tether darling in Asia. TRX USDT, sure. They're still doing quite good here. I can't tell you that this chart's going to keep going up. At this point, I wouldn't buy Tron just because I don't like to buy things that have gone up too much. And it's also hitting some resistance, right? Those blue bands, that's resistance. So, but it's still doing good. So maybe there's something to be had there. I can't bring myself to buy stuff that's gone up too much like that, but maybe. I can't see a reason here that looks super strong why it should be bought right now, but you know, it does look pretty good. Whatever. We're not going to worry too much about Tron. That's not really what we're here for. And that's it, guys. I don't think there's anything else to talk about that matters that much. Bitcoin dominance is still just kind of chopping sideways. It's actually looking, Bitcoin dominance actually looking a little bit strong right here, but given Bitcoin's current point of resistance, maybe that's not as strong as it would seem. But we do know a lot of shitcoins have to die. Millions of shitcoins must die. Okay, so that's it. So I got you guys.
If you got a moment and you're interested, give me your latest take on BitTensor.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at BitTensor. It's at this moment, I'm not nearly as bullish as I was at any of these other, you know, in the past. Okay. It kind of just fizzled out. Like, what was weird is that USD. What's weird is that it fizzled out. Like, despite the fact that the AI stuff kept going strong, NVIDIA's going strong. Yeah, let's see. I feel like we're missing part of the chart here.
Yeah, well, it had a big crash recently because one of the main subnets, the guy completely rugged and left and basically took all his subnet funds with him. But it's been interesting watching the community respond. I think they're responding appropriately. They're coming up with solutions to prevent that in the future. I'm interested in the concept, a decentralized AI, and like, you know, based on my research so far, BitTensor is winning in that space from a technical and adoption standpoint.
You know, it's probably, I wasn't even looking at the right chart. BitTensor, cryptocurrency, think markets, CMC markets. Come on. Where is, we used to.
Tau. Yeah, or Tau. Just put in Tau. You put in Tau?
I'm not sure if they're all the same chart. Some of these charts, maybe I'm just not looking at it right, but some of these charts aren't looking right to me. Yeah, like that one, not looking right.
Yeah, no, it pumped quite a bit. And then that, you know, incident happened last week, and it crashed when all of crypto was like finally pumping. So like missed the momentum from the crypto pump, the general crypto pump.
So yeah, MEXC is the one. They have the longest history, and unless it ever finally gets added to like the crypto ticker thing that keeps track of all the cryptos, but MEXC has the longest price. Yeah, I mean, that's not give everything like considered on this chart. That's not a terrible crash. Like, that's actually pretty okay. And the fact that it managed to sort of, so it lost the band structure. It came down to a significant level, but it managed to regain it. And even with the hack, you know, it's kind of down here. BitTensor is probably like it's probably still fundamentally a good long-term play. Like you would play it for the fundamentals, not for the the near-term move.
Right. All right, and then the Fluffy. Did you see the news that broke with Fluffy this week? I don't know if you saw the post, the spaces. You know Naveen from Tari, right? He's the partner with Fluffy Atari.
Oh no, okay, I didn't. So what happened?
Well, I was gonna play it in the news. How much time do you have? Do you have a couple of minutes or?
I really probably need to get going, to be honest.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna play the video and the news for the rest of the people. But Naveen, I mean, he was doing Atari Spaces. I didn't listen to the whole Spaces, but you know, basically checking in, letting people know, like, hey, listen, Atari tanked. We're gonna try to make it a community project now, I think is what the topic of what he was talking about. But at the end, the Fluffy Pony situation came up. You know, people are asking, like, well, what happened with Ricardo? Is he still a part of the project? And Naveen proceeded to completely annihilate Fluffy Pony, saying that, you know, he deceived everybody. He deceived the entire Atari community. He's deceived Naveen as a friend, as a business partner. He didn't go into details of what the deception was, but basically saying nobody should ever trust Fluffy Pony. I mean, it was like brutal. I'm gonna play it.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy, and you know, I don't think we should. I don't think it should be like just ignored, right? You know, the information needs to get out there because now Fluffy is like running this other project, And maybe there is another side of the story. I put a message out, welcome me Fluffy, if he ever wants to, come on this show or do a Monero talk, get his side of the story out. But, we'll talk about the news. I would like to get your take on it, but I guess you got to run and you don't have time to listen to it. But
I'll try and get myself educated over this next week. I won't really be back home for the next 4 or 5 days.
All right, man. Enjoy. Hope you have a good time wherever you're headed. It's a positive adventure, or what?
Oh yeah, it's great times, man. Just road tripping across Mexico.
Oh, awesome, brother. Enjoy. Live the life that we talk about here.
100%. Yeah. I might even be with the girl that I met at Monerotopia.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Jesus. Riding into the sunset from Monerotopia. All right. So we'll let you go, man. Let you go do your thing. Go live that beautiful life. Enjoy. Have a good time. You think you'll be able to jump on next week?
Yeah. I'll be here next week.
Fantastic. All right, man. We'll let you go. We'll play the news, and I'll take it away.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right. I got a very kind XMR chat. Anonymous tipped 0.005 XMR MVP Douglas Tooman. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. There are other MVPs for sure, but I appreciate that very much. All right, let me bring up the news links. Shortwave, are you there? Let's get. Oh yeah, you're right there. Okay. Shortwave, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Are you familiar with the Tari FUD, with the Fluffy FUD?
I am not. Was that on Twitter?
Yeah, so let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the news. I'll do that as the first story. People did say, can we talk about this on Monerotopia? Or so maybe I should save it for the last then. What do you think?
I don't know.
And then we could do viewers on stage if people want to come up and chat about it.
That would work.
We have 112 live viewers. Guys, like and share, retweet. Let's get more people in here. Let's get the noobs in here. The Monero curious. Monero is bigger than ever right now, guys, for sure. Bigger, stronger. We have so many amazing things on the horizon. I'm going through the news here.
Happy birthday, Monero. It's 12 years old today.
It's Monero's birthday. Oh, my God. I forgot. I think I have that as a news link. I don't even know if I put that up there. Oh, my God. It's Monero's 12th birthday. So, yeah. And at 12 years old, Monero is looking like it's, going to be here for as long as humanity is here. I think that's what I'm betting on.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right?
Aaliyah posted on Nostr about it this morning, so I was like, oh, cool.
Yes, I'll have to bring that tweet up, basically describing Monero as a teenager, a 12-year-old teenager that seems like she's very capable and ready to take over the world. Anti-fragile. Monero has been through so much and has survived and has only become stronger over time. And then, like I said, we have so many amazing things coming over the horizon right now. Full chain membership proofs, Sarai, other improvements that are coming to Monero, talking about making it post-quantum. And then just the growth of Monero itself, and in terms of adoption, in terms of use. If you ask anybody in crypto that actually knows crypto, that's actually been in crypto for a long time, somebody who's aware of what's happening in crypto, like give you kind of an honest opinion, I think pretty much anybody would say Monero is known for being like the most used coin. It's the one people actually are using. I don't really see a scenario where Monero loses that mantle. Obviously, we need to keep growing it. We don't want to sit on our laurels, but we also have a lot to celebrate, I would say. So, yeah, I'll do this story at the end, the Naveen story. I could play the clip. I think it's like a 5-minute clip, might be a little bit more. The Spaces itself is like an hour long, but it really happens at the end of the Spaces. But I will play that after. Let me go ahead and hold on. Wait, I got to take this down. Hold on a sec, guys. Bada beep. Bada boop. Which one is it? Okay. So first story, like I said, some of the big things that are happening right now, things that should make us excited about Monero. Well, actually, this was kind of giving a report on full chain membership proofs. Important full chain membership proofs plus update. The GBP fix identified and proposed by CipherStack has increased full chain membership proofs plus transaction sizes by 33%. And one-in verification times by 10%. So yeah, maybe not good news in that obviously with the added privacy, there's going to be some loss in efficiency, but beautiful to see that things are moving forward. And I don't think that's really a critical thing to worry about at this point because we're getting so much bang for the buck in return. Monero will be foolproof in terms of its privacy at that point. Next story. This is Monero Research Labs. I think I just wanted to highlight some of the things that are going on. So obviously, happy 12th birthday. I think I might have the Aaliyah tweet. I'll bring that up later. But here's some of the big things. Full chain membership proofs plus integration audit CCS has moved to funding. So exciting to see progress there. I had Diego on the show. It was last week or 2 weeks ago, and he still thinks we're on track for full chain membership proofs to go live. I think he said in Q3, maybe Q4, but he's pretty positive, feeling pretty positive about it. Obviously no promises, but that's going to come fast, guys. And it's being properly audited as we go. There's a ton of work that's being put into this, and we should all be very excited and willing to wait however long it takes for them to get it as good as they think they can get it before we go live. Tevador presented the current draft of Jamtis PQ, so post-quantum Jamtis. So there you go. So now they're already coming up with ideas for making Jamtis post-quantum. The draft maintains backward compatibility with Caret via 132 extra bytes in transaction extra and ensures indistinguishable transactions. 3 open questions were highlighted with emphasis on the privacy versus post-quantum security trade-off. We don't need to go into details on what the options were here. Maybe we could do, that sounds like its own show. Practical quantum attack timelines were discussed. Trevor assuming a fast quantum computer superconducting qubits 2 to the 61 is about 5,000 years. So yeah, we don't need to go into details of this, but once again, exciting to see that there's development in terms of making Monero post-quantum. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that. There's other elements to Monero that need to be made post-quantum, but progress is being made. Another big story is this is all coming out of the Monero Research Lab. You guys can watch the Monero researchers and devs, the core team, basically discuss these things out in the open on Wednesdays. Is when I think they generally do the meetings. I don't know if it's every week or every other week. Sometimes I do try to tune in. It's intense. Or you could follow this account and it puts out a summary. But yeah, it's beautiful to see. The Monero Research, and I have been thinking about some kind of AI thing we can do with better taking advantage of all this. The Monero Research Lab discussion focused on the Greece proposals, continued reliance on trusted key exchange service, KES. So Greece was proposed recently. We had Sean come on and do a show about it. He presented it at the last MoneroCon, and it's basically a layer 2 for Monero. It's kind of like a lightning network and very simple, obviously there's a lot of complexities there, but at a very high level, it's kind of a lightning network, meant to be a lightning network for Monero. But apparently people are taking issue with the core architecture and the fact that it relies on a trusted key exchange service. I don't know what that means exactly, but anything with trust involved is obviously not good. It's kind of like trusting a key for Zcash when they initially encrypt it. So I don't know the details in there, but it sounds like Greece isn't looking as promising as it was. So yeah, it relies on these trusted keys, KES, including an initial Intel SGX based deployment on secret network. Concerns were expressed about trust assumptions, potential law enforcement vulnerabilities, and whether payment channels add meaningful value over simpler trusted credit systems. So basically saying maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze for Greece. Yes, you'll get this payment channel network, but is it going to be truly cypherpunk? The MRL leaned toward preferring trustless protocol designs. So beautiful to see that, number one, this proposal was even made in the first place, and now it's being discussed out in the open, and there's concerns. And maybe it's not over for Greece. I've been trying to do another show on it recently, so Sean recommended, I think, somebody else that's near and dear to the project. I guess one of the main devs that's working on it, or researchers. So maybe we'll get him on a Monero talk and get his response to that, that take on Greece. But nice to see that, we're looking for a solution. So if not Greece, maybe something else that would be more trustless. And here's another story. Rucknium summarized recent worsening of the mainnet SPI node situation. Now 55% SPI nodes after March 31st deployment in Amazon. Wow. So they're saying 51% of the nodes are SPI nodes? I don't know. Sounds like, I don't know. Concerns were raised about the proposal's closed source backend and overall costs. Suggestions included ensuring open source data dumps for usability and providing clear infrastructure, cost breakdowns, further discussions. All right, I'm not going to get into that. But we have Rucknium working on the SPI node problem. Let me get into the next story. So that's a lot going on in Monero on its 12th birthday in terms of upcoming development, and it is beautiful to see. And you guys could follow it yourselves. Tune into the chats on Wednesday. You can watch the MRL live, watch them chat. Next story here, we have Boone. This only popped up because I recently started following Boone. Boone was on the show 2 days ago. He is from Thorchain. He is the guy that basically has led the charge for adding Monero to Thorchain. Hasn't happened yet, still in the works. Boone isn't some super coder like Luke Parker that's building Sarai, but he is a cypherpunk and very intelligent dude, and was able to use AI to essentially vibe code the first version of what a Monero implementation would be. And he used Luke's code, aspects of Luke's code that was kind of the missing piece for Thorchain, and was able to get something up and running. There's a lot to be done. We could get more into this topic. I think I have another tweet from Luke where he's talking about Sarai, which is launching soon. But this is why Boone is on my radar, and this tweet has nothing to do with that topic, but it's news nonetheless that Monero is coming to Thorchain soon. Sarai might launch sooner. Thorchain's implementation is not as well audited and built as Sarai's is my honest understanding, even after talking to Boone. I think Boone would even tell you that right now. Not that it can't be, but that it still needs to be properly audited, and that even once it's launched, there's going to be they're going to use small amounts. But that being said, there does appear to be a path towards making it secure. Whereas Sarai, as Luke is saying, is pretty well audited at this point, and I think once it does launch, it will have a lead over Thorchain in terms of initially being trusted for that use case of swapping Monero into other cryptos using liquidity pools. But this story here, completely unrelated, is just because I was following Boone and he happened to come across this. And it's big news. A new national law has been introduced to require all operating systems to have mandatory age verification. So we spoke about this on the show in the past, but now it looks like it's, I don't know, they're actually trying to move this thing forward. House Resolution 8250. So that somebody actually proposed this, introduced this to require operating system providers to verify the age of any user of an operating system and for other purposes. So scary stuff. We'll see where that goes. If it gets killed, how far it goes. Desperate attempt by APAC to keep the young people away from the truth. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that story for sure. But maybe it doesn't actually move forward. Maybe we need to get Thomas Massie on that one. Already to this.
All of that is like practically impossible, man. Like,
what's that?
The enforcement of all of that is practically impossible unless they go at the ISP level. So like the operating system would have to check, or the ISP would have to check that the operating system has age verification. As far as I can tell, like, because what's to prevent you from just compiling your own operating system or what, you know? And then
so yeah, there's no practical way to enforce it, right?
Yeah, or at least not the way that things are made right now. But I would imagine they're going to go after the internet providers, and they're going to say,
right. So like 90% of the noobs that are using the internet will be abiding by it. It's kind of like, but they'll be like the Monero type of crowd that will know how to avoid it, right? Is that probably what the outcome would be?
Well, the reason why it's kind of is, so I haven't read the bill. I'm just hearing about it now, but I would imagine somewhere in there, they're trying to force the ISPs to confirm age verification, because I don't know how the hell else you would do this.
Yeah.
You know,
well, we'll keep an eye on it. And thanks for joining us, man. As always, nice to hear your voice. I didn't even see you pop up there.
Speaking of ISPs, I have made an official GitHub issue on the Monero project GitHub to try to see if we can add reticulum to Monero so that we can use Monero without ISPs.
Okay. I thought you meant clavicular, the guy who, the looks maxer that you wanted to add. You meant reticulum. Okay. I heard clavicular. That guy that kid is a mess, by the way. Oh my God. Now he pops up in my feed because of the Monero stuff. So I've been following a little bit. Oh my God. Crazy. Very, very sad to see the cultural issues on the internet right now and in the U.S. That's a whole other topic.
My wife just ran over here to show me an article about how the UK is already iPhones in the UK are already forcing you to upload a picture of your ID to prove your age before it'll let you use it.
Crazy. It's happening, guys. It's happening.
Yeah, iOS 26.4 requires adults to confirm they are 18 or older to access certain services and features. This verification can be completed by linking a credit card or scanning a driver's license or a specific pass accredited proof of age cards. So yeah, iOS 26.4, and keep in mind that means that it's ready to go for stateside as well once that exists.
The walls are closing in, as always. Let me go to the next story. Bitcoin developers just proposed freezing any early BTC wallets forever. Bitcoin developers led by Jameson Lopp have published BIP 361, a post-quantum migration proposal. It requires holders to move their coins to quantum-resistant addresses or face permanent freezing by the network. So this would freeze out Satoshi if he never moved his if he didn't take action to move his coins to these new addresses. Pretty wild that that's being proposed. I always thought like Bitcoiners were fundamentally opposed to that concept of essentially creating a system where old users can get booted out if they don't take action. I thought that was like one of the main tenets of Bitcoin. Maybe even less so in a project like Monero. I don't know, like, but I thought that was like a core Bitcoin tenet. So I haven't been following the story too closely. I don't know, what the reaction to that was from the Bitcoiners, if that's since fell by the wayside and everybody's like, no, that's stupid, or if it's actually getting traction. Anybody know?
No idea. Bitcoin world is over there. I'm over here.
Yeah. So interesting to see. Interesting
I pay no attention to Bitcoin.
That guy totally looks like he's in a church preaching about the devil. Like, look at his hands. Look at like the clothes he's wearing, and so doesn't he look like Anton LaVey trying to tell you to like come and slaughter babies or something? I mean, why is it that these people always look like an evil psychopath when they talk like this? Like, come on, man.
I thought Jameson Lopp was actually one of the more like based Bitcoiners, right? Like very privacy oriented. I don't know. What do you guys think of this concept? Like if Monero were to do something like this, I don't think there'd be less of an issue. Culturally,
people are speculating too much on what they think quantum is going to look like, when in reality, okay, we know. Well, I say we like I have a fucking clue, right? I'm just a retarded truck driver, but like the thing is if it's true that this is coming, which everybody, including myself, believes that it's coming, and if it's true that eventually it's going to reach a certain kind of computational power using these different systems. Well, you first have to know what you're guarding against, because that hasn't actually manifested in any way. And it's like, is it something that you program like traditional software? Is it something, so people are talking about how they're going to guard against something that isn't even in use right now. Like no one has even seen what it's going to look like. But I could imagine a situation where like, okay, maybe there's a window where Monero has to be burned and it gives you a new Monero on like a quantum resistant situation or whatever, or maybe Bitcoin goes through the same thing. And there are obviously people who are more well studied than the people on the show right now about how this is going to look, but as far as I can tell, even very educated people on the topic, if they're being honest with us, they don't really exactly know what the safeguards are going to be. There's just like theories, just ideas, things that people think might work for quantum resistance. And the other thing is nobody has actually empirically proved. I mean, we have some trust me bro from like Google, right? Or, oh, we've been able to crack this encryption in this much time. And it's like, well, they're not showing anybody, right? They're just like telling people that that's the case. So I don't know, man. I think that it's until there's an understanding of what it's actually going to look like, it's in a sense kind of overblown, because it's like nobody knows what the safeguards are going to be.
Yeah, what's interesting is I could see the Michael Saylors of the world, the number go up, Bitcoiners, which is really the strongest group in Bitcoin, pushing for this, right? Because this will lead to Satoshi no longer being able to access his coins. There you go. You've just reduced the supply of Bitcoin. I could really see that crowd starting to get behind it.
I think one other thing that's kind of interesting about the concept of like, if all of that happened, the real question is, are Satoshi's coins actually priced in the current price or not? Because you could speculate either way, right? Like, this is how much a Bitcoin is worth, and then if you multiply it across all of the Bitcoins that are out there, it's worth this much. And it's like, but is it really though? Because nobody's trading Satoshi's coins. Nobody expects those coins to move. So when you go buy Bitcoin, you would think that it's already been kind of priced out, the idea that those coins are never going to move or whatever. So let's say they did close out all of the OGs and all of the whales, which, keep in mind, they actually already did. Remember, a few banks have been just basically claiming Bitcoin that hasn't moved in a while. I mean, I don't know if you remember that, but like a bunch of Bitcoin has been just taken because people weren't doing anything with it. And they're like, oh, it's sat for too long. This is ours now. Right. Well, the thing is the price where people say, oh, if Bitcoin is this worth this much and there's 20 million out there, that means the market cap of Bitcoin is a bajillion dollars. It's like, or is it 40% of the Bitcoin are not priced in that number, and it's actually, 60% of the market cap that people talk about? You see what I mean?
I hear you. Let me keep moving on the news here. Let me do the next story, because I do want to get to the Tari drama. It's definitely drama. And we don't generally like drama, but it's important to talk about because it does affect our ecosystem with who we trust and how we proceed. Luke Parker. This is very good news. Same week that Thorchain is announcing essentially that they're like on their way to adding Monero. Luke Parker comes onto the scene. He's usually heads down working. He's not really prevalent too much on X, I think for very good reasons. He doesn't like wasting his time. While I'm inactive on Twitter these days and generally don't hype my work to absurd degrees, I have to agree. He really doesn't. Preferring to actually do the work. I'm really happy with the progress here. Wrapping up testing, testnet, and then ready for deployment. Yeah, I mean, Luke is just a freaking man. So why people, Luke has been head down. And Sarai, it sounds like, is coming soon. The audit of Sarai's blockchain has been completed. We are incredibly excited to have our node implement all of the required protocol functionality and to have received review from Security Research Labs. Security Research Labs leaders in the Substrate Polkadot ecosystem. So it sounds like it's been successfully audited, which is very exciting. We don't have a timeline of when it will actually go live. I've been DMing with Luke, especially since the Thorchain stuff has been going on. Luke is, if Luke can speak for himself, but just the general sentiment out there is he does feel a little mistreated from the Thorchain community. There were bounties that he solved and they paid him, but there were some discrepancies there. And overall, they're now kind of like claiming like, Luke, thank you. We love you so much. We've never been able to do this without you. But while also kind of not fixing that situation that he had. I don't know. So I think I think rightfully he feels a little slighted by them. And it's not that he's, once again, I don't want to speak for him. I do think he'll do a Monero talk soon, but he may not even want to linger on that topic so much, whatever it may be. But the good news is, like, the race is on. All right. Luke he always said, he's been working on this for years, simultaneously working on full chain membership proofs, doing other crazy, amazing things at the same time. But Sarai never faltered. It's been moving forward this entire time. He's just been obsessing over it and making sure it's built to, the proper degree. It needs to be built to be unstoppable, to be an unstoppable Monero-based decentralized exchange using liquidity pools. And Thorchain is competing and trying to get theirs up as well. So us as the Monero community, we're winning all around here. And this is tremendous to see. And I'm enjoying this nuclear arms race. And I think they will both launch, and they'll both see a ton of usage. Next story. XMR Bazaar.onion is live. Trade directly with peers using Monero over Tor. So the Onion address is up. So if you visit XMR Bazaar from a Tor browser, you'll see it will notify you of the Onion address, so you can go to it from there. And then we'll also publish it on ClearNet, XMR Bazaar, so people can see it. So finally did that. Actually, we had somebody on XMR Bazaar. I hire them to do that. So like they're running the implementation, whatever it is. Anarchio had his reasons for not wanting to do that. And yeah, so
Yeah,
It's now live.
normally when you put up an onion address, they put it in like the footer where it's like your about, FAQ,
Yes.
contact, all
Yes.
that stuff. Generally, there's like a Tor and I2P link if you have I2P. So you might want to put it there on XMR Bazaar. So it's at the very
Yes.
bottom.
We will put it there. XMR, everybody knows XMR Bazaar is a marketplace for legal goods and services, peer to peer, right? We don't take a percentage of. We're not a party to the transaction, but it is for legal goods and services, and people want to access that as anonymously as possible. Doesn't mean they're looking to use it for illegal reasons, and yeah, it just improves the use case of the marketplace. Next story. Oh, what? Copied the same link there. Sorry, guys. This one. What do we got here? So Monero Matteo put this out. Everyone, pretty irresponsible to just tell everyone to do this. So let's watch the video.
Real wage increase.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have to change my sound over here. Otherwise, we're going to get feedback. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, all right, now it should work.
On a weekly or a monthly basis, I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding if they haven't already done so, because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. I want to encourage everyone.
All right, so the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is telling everybody to basically not allow their employer or to change their W-2 essentially with their employer, so they withhold less. All right, so they're taking less out of their paycheck. In theory, then you then still owe that when you do your taxes, but rather than allowing them to take out more and then you get paid back at the end of the year, to have them take out less and then you owe them. It's first of all, just like kind of the fact that they're trying to pose it as it's more money in your pocket. It's like, all right, they're still coming for your taxes at the end of the year. You're paying all those taxes, and you better not get it wrong if you're filing, right? If you're filing, by way of filing, and we'll get into that too. There's a lot came out on tax day. All things that have been discussed on Monerotopia actually already for years. We had speakers that have come on and talked about how technically you don't really even need to pay income tax. It's the filing of the act of filing and basically signing off on that you're saying everything here is true. That's kind of what implicates you. I pay my taxes. I'm not. I'm not. I'm very much a public figure, and I'm not willing to deal with those legal situations. Yeah.
What I will say, what I would say to this is, if you feel like you must pay your taxes, then and you get a refund from the government every year, you should move your withholdings down, so that you do not get a refund or get as little of a refund as possible. If you're getting, say, a $2,000 refund, make it to where you're getting a $0 refund. That way, you're not giving the government any extra money.
Yeah, it's you're losing that money for that period. You can be investing it in things. But if you're filing and you're paying taxes, you just need to be cognizant of the fact that you're going to have to come up with that money at the end, right? If you are, in fact, paying taxes, right? If you're not paying taxes, then none of this matters. Scott Bessent tipped 0.001 XMR. Obviously, he knows there's going to be a huge income tax cut announced soon, starting with the 2020-26 tax year. Yeah, we have some other XMR chats. Did we do these other ones? Did we get this one? Happy birthday, Monero. If Monero doesn't grow on trees, why do banks have branches? Seems like a scam. Turn on your mining machines. Kiss for Alaska Anon. That was from Hazel Hart. And I don't think we covered this one either. John McAfee lives in my heart. Tip 0.001 XMR. Not trying to offend, but how can Thorchain pull off the XMR bridge when its devs are doxxed and look like sitting ducks? Yeah, we don't need to get into. I kind of covered that topic. I'm sure more will be coming out on that. Listen, when Thorchain initially launches with Monero, be careful. Like I said, I think in the long run they'll get a lot of usage. But if Sarai comes out at the same time, I think Sarai will have more trust initially for good reasons. But I do think Thorchain could certainly prove themselves over time and properly audit things. Next story. Okay, so this is a continuation of that conversation regarding taxes in the first place. So this is from Peter Schiff. Alaska Anon has talked about this, how Peter Schiff's dad is like an extremely based individual. Actually, we could play the video. I think it's this. I started watching it the other day. I don't know if this is just a clip from the video because it's like a 3-hour sit down when his dad. This is in 1998, and his dad basically talks about all the legal arguments for why effectively we don't need to pay income tax. But let's see what Peter Schiff is saying here. He's basically kind of summarizing it, making that argument. 26 USC 5001 imposes a tax on alcohol. There's another one that creates liability to pay the alcohol tax. And then there's another one that imposes a tobacco tax. And then there's the one that creates liability to pay the tobacco tax. And then there's another regulation that imposes a tax on wagering. And then with that, there's one that then creates the liability to pay the wagering tax. So this is the crux of the argument they're saying. And then 26 USC 1 imposes an income tax. However, there is no section that creates a liability to pay the income tax. This is kind of the argument that's being made when people say legally the government, there is no regulation compelling you to pay the tax. However, there is no section that creates a liability to pay the income tax. So you're not liable for not paying. That is not an accident. It's because the payment of the income tax is legally voluntary. The payment of those other taxes is mandatory. If anyone can find a section of the IRC that specifically creates a liability to pay the income tax in the same way that the IRC establishes a liability to pay the alcohol, tobacco, or wagering tax, please reply to this post with the citation. So that's the crux of the Schiff argument. His father made it, in the 90s as well. I recommend people go check out that video. It's actually really.
By the way, there's like hundreds of
San Diego Union Tribune.
Schiff's dad.
IRS Commissioner Margaret Milner Richardson warned yesterday that continued public bashing of her agency may some.
All right. Well, we don't need to. But I do recommend people check out that video. Alaska, I'm sure you've watched that, right?
No, of course. Of course. It's great. I would also tell you that there's dozens, if not hundreds, of IRS agents who have gone and done the same thing, because they basically would try to impose the tax, and then people would say, just show me the law that makes me liable. And then as soon as they couldn't find it, they just like freaked out because they just had assumed for so long that. Now, keep in mind, everybody, like, what they did to Erwin Schiff, they never actually argued the legal merits of anything that he said. They just basically chained him to a hospital bed until he died of cancer or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he died of, but like,
Jesus Christ.
They don't actually fight you in the court of law. They torture you or murder you or what, so just
right. They have infinite resources, and they just destroy you in other ways.
But keep in mind, those infinite resources come from the fact that they can print the money and steal yours. So you have to. It's kind of a catch-22. Like either, and I wouldn't tell other people where to stand on this topic. I think everybody knows where I do, but like it's if you want to have this battle. then you need to be prepared for what can happen as a consequence of said battle. And not everybody has the stones to do it. So be careful.
For sure, for sure. And I will say, obviously, for those who are paying their taxes or aren't paying their taxes, Monero is the tool you want to have for if this mafia ever goes after you, even if you are paying your taxes and you're trying to do everything correctly. There's no better tool to protect you if the beast, the mafia, turns on you and tries to make an example of you. You would at least have somewhat of a fighting chance, perhaps. I can't think of a better tool that you can try to use to save yourself to some degree. Right? I mean, Alaska,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely. Like
yeah.
The reality is, Monero, I have a saying, Monero is the gun of finance. The idea being a gun in the hands of a 5-year-old, a pregnant woman, or a jacked 280-pound, well, I guess Ray, you could say. The gun is just as deadly in everybody's hands. Well, the thing is Monero is just as unstealable in everybody's hands. And you should always make a point to have some kind of wealth that can't be stolen from you. And one day it may save you. And we learned a lot from, I think I did a show. No, that wasn't with you. That was another guy. But about the trucker protests, which I had a lot to do with that. And you remember how some of them got Bitcoin and some of them got Monero, and all of the ones that got Bitcoin had their bank accounts turned off and everything else. All the ones that had Monero were able to get fuel, were able to feed themselves. And eventually the protesters that were trying to use public ledgers, they were all weeded out, but the people who were using private ledgers were able to keep the protest going pretty much indefinitely. So we've already seen Monero doing its job in similar circumstances.
Exactly. I think I just have 2 stories left here. So Thomas Massie, last night between midnight and 2 a.m., they tried to pass 2 bad versions of FISA. Both would have allowed feds to unconstitutionally spy on Americans. We stopped both versions, but the fight isn't over. Eventually, it was decided to give them 2 more weeks to fix it. So let's
it's a warrant. All right, so you guys have successfully blocked the 5-year extension for FISA tonight. You consider this a win? It's a 30-day, when is it?
2 week.
2 week, okay, yeah. Even better. All right, and why is it important not to extend FISA? I mean, like, keep in mind, this is what they used to spy on President Trump's campaign. It's a warrantless spying program. Why do you think that they are continuing to try to force this through?
It's the deep state.
It's the deep state.
It's what it does.
Here's the briefing that we're never going to get, because they try to bring us into all these classified briefings and tell us how dangerous it is to have warrants to spy on American citizens. The briefing that we're never going to get is, hi, our agency has been given too much power by Congress. We need you to take some of it back.
And today I went in the Schiff and saw 2 top secret documents that showed this program is getting worse, not better.
Okay, so how does this, I just want to relate this a little bit to like the average American. How could this affect somebody like, your average Kentuckian, the place that you represent? How could FISA being passed again for 5 years?
If you get on the government's
shit list,
bad list, naughty list, regardless of who is in the White House, right? They could put your name in this, find things about you, and then go recreate another evidence trail to discover that. Because they're never going to say they used FISA to find this stuff out about it. And then they go, you get a random stop, traffic stop. Oh, it's Burchett.
It's Burchett.
Burchett's doing his own proof of life video.
Hey!
Hey, man, they
what do you think of FISA?
In a Hollywood studio, we really didn't get them.
All right, enough. Too bad he cut him off answering the question. I wanted to hear what Massie had to say. But yeah, basically it allows the government to spy on the people. And
what Massie was actually talking about was something called parallel constructionism, where you use certain tools that you keep private to find an evidence chain, and then you reconstruct the investigation starting from the evidence that you found with FISA. And
right, so it allows them to essentially do warrantless searches on citizens. Yep.
And then the other thing that's really horrifying about this is, number one, the government is getting worse and worse at keeping that data private, even if it was being used for like non-nefarious purposes, which is, I believe, somewhere between 0 and never. But like, even if they were trying to protect you from the terrorists or whatever, if your information is revealed in any way, the government does a terrible job protecting it. But then the other side of this is the parallel constructionism. Nobody realizes just how bad these warrantless searches actually are, because they're always presented these cases that look like everything was done on the up and up, when in reality it was not. It was all done through FISA, and then they build the case around evidence that they found that way.
Next story. What do we have? Oh, this is just all the craziness that's happening at the Strait of Hormuz, which is dictating the direction of the markets. I feel like, yeah, if you can play this and do pretty well just on knowing that Trump will always taco, but you just don't know when he's going to do it. So it's a gamble out there. But the latest, so this account I've been following. They always get the latest breaking news from Strait of Hormuz, the Kobisi letter. And so this was 3 hours ago. They tweeted, "What just happened?" So yesterday at 8, so on Friday at 8:45 a.m. Eastern, yesterday morning over here in New York, Iran's foreign minister announced that the Strait of Hormuz was completely open for all commercial vessels. And the stock market was like, yeah, it opened up. It was like, we're back in action. At 9:06, President Trump thanked Iran for opening Strait. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Things are steamrolling ahead. Clear skies ahead. Then at 10:20 a.m., Trump said Iran and U.S. are working together to remove all mines from the Strait. More good news. So this is just pumping the markets, basically saying like the Strait has never been more open than it is right now. Between 10:40 and 12 p.m. Eastern, President said Iran agreed to never close the Strait again. Wow, so like they'll never even close it again, and to suspend its nuclear program. Then suddenly at 6:14, so after the markets closed, Iran's Speaker of the Parliament, after the markets super pumped, Iran's Speaker of the Parliament said Trump made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 were false. So now it was like, boom, futures start crashing, everything starts crashing, oil futures start pumping. Now Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz again, and oil tankers are being struck. What just happened behind the scenes? There's other tweets showing the correlation between these actions every time there's news of opening and closing, and some of the big bets that are being placed on the stock market, obviously like insider trading, but we're talking trillions at this point. And then there's just more.
This totally proves that Iran is just as in on it as everybody else. Like,
right? Is that what's going on, man?
It's like there is no way that they don't know that they're participating in this right around the times of the different markets opening and closing, because it's part of the blueprint of war fighting. It's like the very bottom of war fighting, to be like, okay, how can you most fuck the opponent's economy? Like that's way up on the, in fact, I think it's chapter 2 of The Art of War about like feeding on your opponent's finances. It's like right at the beginning of anybody who has ever studied war at all would know that you would want to do the opposite. You would be trying to like drive the markets down for maximum pain. And then you would announce that, yeah, we're going to open it up like once the markets are closed. If you were Iran trying to, it's just so obvious that all of these people, including Iran, including everybody else, like, there's a lot of Russian Orthodox out here, and like so many of them are just like, Putin's the savior, blah, blah, blah. He stands against the pedophile mafia. And it's like, no, he doesn't. None of them do. Like, they're all the same. Every single one of them.
And then, so yeah, let me just finish the arc. So yeah, yesterday things had never been more open in the Strait of Hormuz, and now it's all drastically changed. It's continuing to get worse today. Breaking, the U.S. says Iran's IRGC has conducted at least 3 attacks on commercial ships. So it's like Hormuz update. Iran has now turned back. So now they're turning back vessels. Iran is like blockading. But now at the same time, the U.S. is also blockading again. Breaking, President Trump responds to Iran shutting down the Strait of Hormuz again. Iran cannot blackmail us with the Strait of Hormuz, he says. Trump says it will have more information at the end of the day. Breaking, Iran has not agreed to another round of talks with the U.S., citing U.S. pressure tactics, including President Trump's blockade of the Strait. So now they're both blocking the Strait. So now it's fully blocked. It's never been more blocked. So it went from yesterday being as open as it could be with Iran allegedly promising to never close it again to now being completely blocked on both sides. Breaking, the U.S. military is preparing to board Iran-linked oil tankers and seize commercial ships in international waters. So basically all traffic now is stopping. At least this is like, and I don't think it's necessarily, that's certainly not a lie, right? That's being confirmed. You could see the ships, they're showing them turning around. But yeah, this is just major market manipulation. The odds.
By the way, there's one of the reasons why I was like, Body is so right when he's like, this is all about manipulating oil prices. They did the exact same thing in Venezuela. They just started jacking boats. They just you know what I'm saying? Like,
all right.
And then they're trying to control Cuba, and it's the same thing. It's so ridiculous. Like everybody is so in on it, and you can just tell.
Yeah, it's wild. Have you caught like the latest propaganda videos that have come out from Iran, like those Lego videos that they keep issuing?
Well, I mean, I've got to find them now.
The Lego anime. Yeah, we got to bring one up. I brought one up a couple of episodes ago, but there's new ones coming out all the time. If somebody has the latest, we can bring it up. They are incredible. And the fact that AI is being used in this way to and spread propaganda to your enemies and to your own internal people. It's just amazing to kind of be a part of and witness it, and the way in which it's being done. It's insane, and it is spreading like wildfire. Like Iran is doing a better job than the U.S. government at using the internet to spread propaganda. At least on X, they're doing a really good job, whether you believe what they're saying or don't believe. They're doing a very impressive job, and I would say beating the U.S. on that front. But let's play the big story of the week, an unfortunate one. We don't know the veracity or how true this is. But we do know Naveen has known Fluffy for a very long time. They've basically been business partners since Tari started. So we could go ahead and listen. Naveen had a Spaces a couple of days ago where he was talking about Tari, because the Tari community is very concerned. The price just keeps dropping. There was rumors of Fluffy leaving the project. And so he did an hour long or so Spaces. People go listen to that if they're invested in Tari or interested in Tari, where he's basically talking about wanting to make it a community project, which perhaps that's a great outcome that comes out of this. So it's more community based. Tari had VC funding. They had, I don't want to get these facts wrong, but they essentially had a treasury. I mean, they have what appeared to be some founders reward. Paris Hilton, right, has essentially has Tari that she was given to help spread the word. She's like an investor. There's many others, right? So it never really started as a pure community open source project like Monero. And whatever, there's issues with Tari, but the biggest issue to date is that it appears Tari is no longer part of the project. So in a Spaces yesterday, Naveen of Tari had this to say about Fluffy Pony. Anyone who trusts him is foolish. There's no fucking reason on this planet why this motherfucker should be trusted. So let's go ahead and listen to the clip.
Best way. The last question. What happened with Rick?
You know, all I can say is that without going into too many details, Rick was very deceptive, very deceptive with myself and with other contributors and with everyone in the community. He deceived everyone. And you can take my words as you wish. I'm not going to go into details around this. It's like not productive to do so. But he deceived us. And that deception was extremely deep and it cut to my heart. I mean, this is like a guy who was my friend for like 8+ years. Longer than that even, you know, like I've been friends with this person and let's just say I'm no longer friends, you know, and I have no desire to like engage in any way, shape or form with him. And, you know, you can look at his past and you can come to your own conclusion.
Okay, that was very self-explanatory, I think. And maybe this is a detail, but are there lawyers involved?
I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to respond to that. I think I've said enough, and I think you can read between the lines.
Okay, well, those were my questions. Thank you for answering.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for coming up and asking.
There's more, guys. There's more.
Cool. Well, DCL, Fox, any other topics or questions that you guys have at this moment?
Yo, can I just get something in?
Yeah, please.
So, well, my question was going to be about Fluffy, but you already answered it. So, like, does that affect like the amount of talent you have working on Tari Labs? Because he was like a major contributor, right? So, did he leave behind like a big gap that you need to fill?
No. So, what I would urge you to do to validate this for yourself is go actually look at his contributions on GitHub. And I think you'll find that they are extraordinarily modest. And then I think you can answer the question yourself. So the people who've actually done the work on this protocol are, you know, and are still engaged are people who've been involved with the protocol project for a very long time and care deeply about it. And I think that's the best way to validate your question. I think anything else is probably just, you know, a story out there. But I appreciate the story. Like, I understand why the story might be there. I just think the best way to like come to a truth around it, a source of truth around it, is to just go look at the repo for yourself.
Okay, so I mean, I guess what was his role then? Was it just a vision?
I would say that, you know, look, when I came into this industry, I wasn't like super dialed, super connected. You know, people have reputations, people carry weight, you know, people are connected in various ways. You know, people have experience, right? Like, I'm not an expert in crypto protocol design. You know, I'm not an expert in how crypto communities operate. You know, I would say that having people around you who have that kind of experience can be really valuable to a project. And so, you know, I think there was a lot of that that, you know, was in sort of my mind in terms of collaborating with someone like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I want to touch on this briefly. I know you said you don't want to talk about it too much, but like you said he was like decepting the community and he's like deceiving you. Like he's an advisor to like a protocol right now. It's called Wagyu. It's like a basically like a version of Hyperliquid.
I think anyone who trusts him is foolish.
Okay, so
I think anyone who trusts him is foolish. That's what I will say. And this is someone who paid his fucking commissary bills when he was locked up in the United States. Who fucking paid those bills? I fucking paid them. I'm the only reason the motherfucker had toothpaste when he was in jail in Kentucky. I'm the only reason.
Oh shit.
And I am telling you that there is no reason in this planet that this motherfucker should be trusted. That's what I'm telling you. So I have no idea what that protocol is. I have no idea who's behind it. I've blocked him on X. I have zero interest in having any form of relationship or connection with this person. But I feel deceived. I should have never paid for his fucking toothpaste. Does that answer your question?
Dude, yes. Thank you for being honest and transparent. Like, I mean, you having known
I
him
was there.
personally.
I was there when the motherfucker was arrested on the tarmac in Nashville. I was physically there. I took care of this guy. I took care of him. No one else took care of him. I took care of him personally because he was a friend. He was family. And this person is fucking excommunicated for life. Period. That is the last time I will talk about this fucking person. He is dead to me.
Dude, I mean, that's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for letting us all know so we can be aware of this.
Look, it's important. It is important. And look, I know that I have personally made a choice to not engage, right? I've made a choice to not engage. And the reason why is because I feel that it's best to just move forward in life, right? I'm not a young person. I've been on this planet many times around the sun. And I have learned in my life it's best not to dwell in drama. And so I've just decided to just close the book and move on and not be like drawn into it. But I understand that that doesn't solve the community's need. Community has a need to have some more detail or some closure or some concept. So my sincere hope is that my words in this space are helpful in that regard.
Okay. I want to talk about one more thing. So like obviously he owned a part of Tari. So now that he's not part of the project, was he the reason for the sell pressure?
He owns, outside of tokens he may have mined, he owns no tokens here.
So he didn't get any contributions for being like a co-founder?
His tokens were subject to various agreements and arrangements that he did not honor. And because he did not honor those agreements, he does not have any tokens here.
Okay.
So that's what I can say. So there is no sell pressure or otherwise coming from him unless it's tokens he's mined, which I don't know anything about.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. On a more positive note,
damn.
Wow. We've got two XMR chats. One from Tronald Dump says, "Poll, nuke the IRGC on the IRC." And he
the IRC, which stands for Internal Revenue Code.
Oh, gotcha.
In the context of a previous story.
Gotcha.
I think that one's pretty obvious. Which of those two has actually affected you in a negative way personally? That's your answer.
The IRC, yeah.
And
then Anon tipped 0.1 Monero and said, "These new IRS crypto tax forms make me want to flee the country. I cannot blame you."
Yeah, flee to another country where they do the same thing. Like we're out of places to flee. You know, I mean, there are a few places you can go if there's one particular issue that you're trying to avoid or whatever, but they're all turning into tyrannical, dumpy hellholes. So you just got to fight wherever you are, or maybe join with your brothers somewhere and just fight. And that kind of follows into where the logic of my choice to resist the IRC is, because if they already have the power to throw you in a prison for life and just screw your family and everybody over, like, I feel like I have to do something, because they already have that power that makes them the enemy, but That fluffy shit though, damn. For
right.
real.
And this is coming from his business partner at Tari. You know, I've seen these guys together on various occasions and whatever. They had a falling out, but the allegations that he's making are pretty rough. I mean, basically saying Fluffy cannot be trusted at all. So it makes you wonder if that is in fact true. What else has happened? What else have you been deceived about? You know, say this out loud. You know, obviously, I don't think this should have any effect on Monero. This shouldn't be turned into Monero FUD. One thing has nothing to do with the other. Like Fluffy is no longer really a part of Monero in terms of contributing to its code. He's not the main maintainer. Monero is its own beast, and he was a part of it, and he certainly contributed to it in very big ways, and he helped grow it. But we don't know the truth of everything that was happening behind the scenes and various things. I know Fluffy, I think, put out a tweet earlier this week listing like all the contributions he made in terms of money, things that he was doing in the early days to help prop up Monero, you know, renting servers, whatever it is, running websites, things like that. And yeah, but you know, we could get into all that, and people want to jump up and talk about it. I just want to know more of like, what is the truth? What is he actually being accused of? What is Naveen saying? Maybe it's because there's lawyers. I reached out to Naveen. I asked him if he wanted to do a Monero talk. He said he just wants to focus on making Tari a community project, basically saying like, you know, he's already been very hurt by this, wasted a ton of time and, you know, emotional energy on it, and he just wants to move on. Maybe he'll change his mind and he'll want to give us more details at some point, or maybe that will come out. But, you know, we could hear from Fluffy as well. You know, I don't know if he wants to do it, but yeah, I think we need to like kind of reassess at this stage, though. I mean, Fluffy's now part of this other project. Like now he came on the scene. He's like, all right, now I'm working with the perpetual. What is it called? The new swap service.
Perpetual Cow.
That's
I
using
think.
Hyperliquid.
Oh,
yeah, Perpetual Cow or whatever it is.
Which is Wagyu.
Wagyu, right? It's Wagyu, and he's advising them. And I don't know, is there some? In talking with Wagyu, I've been talking to them behind the scenes for some time too. They actually wanted to get me on, like, kind of on board, and I said, you know, I gotta. This is, you know, weeks ago before the Fluffy thing. I was like, you know, I gotta see where you guys really at. I don't really know you well enough to know if you can be trusted, right? So put my name on it. And you know, hopefully that all works out. But you have to question now. Can Fluffy fully be trusted? If there's things that happened in the past, I guess it doesn't matter now in terms of Monero stuff. Like I said, Monero is what it is. I don't see in any way he could have damaged Monero. Maybe at the time there were things that were done. I don't know. I don't know why he would be incentivized to do that. Listen, at the end, none of us know who our true characters are, who we truly are, right? And Monero still works despite that, because we're all incentivized for one reason or another to have it succeed. So Monero is not affected in that way, but you do kind of want to know, or need to know, who good characters and bad characters are if they're in the ecosystem and they're creating projects and doing things like that. So I don't know what else to say about it. I don't have any more information on it. If anybody else wants to jump up and talk about it, you're welcome to do that, or talk about any other news story for the week. I feel bad for the people that have kind of that got roped into Tari so far, because it has been quite the rug, I would say, right? It's only gone down essentially in price. There are the investors that had their Tari, I guess they were dumping it. Naveen was asked if he thinks Fluffy was dumping his, and he was saying Fluffy didn't really have wasn't issued coins. I don't really see how that's possible. I thought.
Well, I think we all said from the get-go that Tari was one of those things of you buy it, and if it goes to zero, then you don't buy enough of it that if it goes to zero that you would be financially devastated because of it. I bought some Tari. I'll admit that. I still have it, and I still plan to hold it, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. But
yeah, it could become a community project. It could
of it, just to kind of fuck with it, you know. Like I mined a lot of it though, just to see.
it was not a substantial part of my finances. I put like maybe 0.1 Monero into it. Like, so it's like if it goes to zero, I don't care.
I was hoping to get, I mined it too initially. And like for me to take action like that, like, you know, like, all right, let me install the client and mine it. And I was impressed, right? I was impressed with kind of the marketing of it, right? They were kind of the
It
first
was
to make,
visually gorgeous.
yeah, they made mining cool and simple and user friendly. Right. That was kind of really the pitch. And it was, and it did meet that. It checked the boxes in a lot of ways, and it was unique in a lot of ways. And I think Monero can learn from that in some ways. And I think we've seen that, right, with Sir Jams a lot, with what he was building, his miner, right? It's kind of inspired from that a little bit, and making mining, you know, also entertaining perhaps. But I wasn't able to mine anything. I ran it on my, you know, I mine Monero. I can use my Goopacks. I mine Monero. I get Monero. I never got any Tari, and I started early. I mean, I wasn't mining from my phone. It was a decent computer. And so that was like, why isn't it working? And then as I'm realizing too, it's not like it merge mined with Monero, but that's only a small percentage of like the network that's merge mined with Monero. And just overall, I've always was a little bitter against the Tari thing. I always like gave it the benefit of the doubt, but I never liked that Ricardo left to go build Tari at what I saw as a time when Monero was like finally really blossoming and establishing itself as the best privacy coin, right? I know I hate using that term, but really the best digital cash. And there was plenty more growth to happen, and there was plenty more technical things that need to happen. We still don't have a layer 2 on Monero, right? We're talking about that today. We're talking about the latest proposal that now people aren't too crazy about, Greece. But, you know, so we're talking for years for a layer 2. And Tari was initially, I remember at MoneroCon, at the first MoneroCon in Denver. I mean, I'm sure we could pull up that video, but I swear it was pitched as a layer 2 at that time, on top of Monero. That was the pitch.
I also remember it like that.
Right? And then it slowly changed, and I had them on Monero Talk. I had them, you know, I was talking to the guys that were working on it, and then it slowly became, oh no, now it's its own crypto. And like, you know, and then it slowly became what Ricardo would often criticize other projects for, like, you know, the things that you see Xano being criticized. Like, I never understood that hypocrisy too, that Xano was like attacked by the Monero community. Not all the Monero community, but a lot of it. Meanwhile, the founder of Xano is one of the original crypto note guys, like arguably more OG than Ricardo, in that Ricardo came in and like forked that stuff away from them and started building Monero essentially, right, with others. But you know, the original crypto note guy, he's building Xano, and Xano was kind of cast as a scam, you know, because they have a founder, you know, they have their founders set up, right, whatever it may be, for other reasons, right? But like Tari does all those things too, and somehow they were getting the pass and Xano wasn't, and it was really because of Fluffy, right? Because Fluffy had won the heart of the Monero community, and that's what he used to get the pass for launching another coin, right? Where normally he would be the guy arguing against it, right? Like, why do we need that? We already got Monero, we already got this, but now all of a sudden we're okay with another project that's funded by a new coin, right? And so that's kind of my overall take there, and why I always had issues with it from the get-go. And I guess we'll have to see if any more truth comes out. And, you know, Fluffy, like I said, Ricardo, you're welcome to come on here, and I'll treat you like a gentleman. I know I'm saying some harsh things, but these are my beliefs, you know, from what I see. These are my opinions. I'm willing to be, you know, change them if there's other information and whatnot. But it's not looking too good, man. And ultimately, that doesn't really mean anything for Monero, but it does mean, you know, if you're going to be working on other projects in Monero land, maybe you should try to explain yourself more, I would say. At least if you want to be successful with them. Because I think the this other the Wagyu project, I think they could suffer in terms of credibility from that. So yeah, that's my overall. I wish Tari the best. Maybe it will rise. The Phoenix will rise from the ashes. It really does become a community project. People step in now. It becomes like very permissionless in terms of devs stepping in, being like, well, if it's dead, we might as well. And maybe essentially kind of gets worked on in a more honest way in terms of people not hoping for the ability to sell their coins at the end, but people just trying to pick up the pieces.
Well, some projects, when they go through stuff like this, I mean, that you just interviewed Thorchain guys, you know what I mean? Like it looked pretty bad, and then they're still here, they're still kicking, they're still helping people swap, But on the other hand, what was that like? It had like the most granola hippie sounding name ever. It was like Luna or what, Remember that? Like, it's just like the tiniest little pinprick in the bubble just exploded, and everything in between. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen next for this project, because like there is some there, but it never made it to the point where it was doing anything. It's just like you have this underlying thing that you can run all kinds of other stuff on. It's like, yeah, we have like 9 of those actually. What's this one,
And they never launched the layer 2, the Minotaur, or I don't even know. I forget. There's Tari, right? Which really at this point isn't the layer 1 really doesn't do anything really that inventive, other than that you can mine it in a visually compelling way. But the real magic was supposed to be with the layer 2, where that's where you had the Mimble Wimble stuff going on, and you can essentially do what, private by default transactions, not as private perhaps or as robust as Monero, but effectively allow you to do like Ethereum-like things, but in a private way.
Yeah,
right now you can't do that on the layer 1. That doesn't even exist yet.
The layer 1 on Tari is private by design, from what I understand.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any of the smart contracts.
Yeah, you can't do any of the smart contracts. It's just the underlying token.
Right. So what is it? What is
Tari?
Right now, Tari layer 1 is
basically nothing. Tari layer 1 is Monero, like with a hell of a lot more supply.
Right. That's more centralized in terms of development and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they got to launch. I didn't listen into the whole spaces. Maybe I'm sure Naveen was talking about when that happens. Did it happen? Am I missing that? But as far as I know, the layer 2 never launched, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
And now without Fluffy, I mean, he was kind of the lead on that. He was the one who was like, we're going to use Mimble Wimble and all this. Like, he was the one selling the architecture of Tari. And now the architect is no longer on board. So we shall see. And then the other thing was they never participated in Monerotopia. And that's how I was hoping to get some, like, all right, I'm interested in Tari. Maybe I could get some from them, and then they can participate in Monerotopia. They could be a sponsor. I even told them at one point, like, listen, donate whatever you want. I even told Fluffy at some point, I was like, I just want you to participate. I would like to have some Tari just so we can benefit it by bringing exposure to Tari and look at things that will inevitably come out of it. If you participate in Monerotopia, we'll have some skin in the game. But I literally got to the point where it said, just donate whatever you want, and then we'll give you, Tari will be participating. Because I think it's crazy to me that they never participated in Monerotopia. Like, we have all these other projects. Meanwhile, Tari, which I've been talking to from the earliest of days, and who's like now has finally launched. I get it when they didn't launch yet. They didn't want to maybe talk about it too much, but now it's finally launched. Come talk to the community about it, side by side with other privacy tech projects. Let's hear why we should all care about Tari. Let's openly criticize it.
Oh, we should go ahead and run VOS.
There was actually another thing about Tari that is very much not unique to Tari, but that bothers me a lot about so many of these projects is not only is the scope creep ridiculous, like immediately, where it's, we want to do this and we want to do that, and the next thing they're trying to like solve all of these problems that maybe allegedly eventually will exist. But for example, they were always talking about like changing the way mining happens so it has an even smaller attack surface. except for the fact that now you're mining on a bunch of different pieces of hardware and you're mining a bunch of different like algorithms. So vulnerability in any one of those things could be compromising versus the Monero solution of there's really just the one way to mine Monero, and it's RandomX, and it's optimized for a CPU. And people are like, oh, well, you know, people can get these CPU farm. Well, every time people try to fix that by making it more complicated, it greatly expands the attack surface. And there's kind of this concept of before you try to, you know, reinvent the car from the ground up, you know, maybe just like see if you can make the brakes work just a little bit better, or see if you can make the handling just slightly better. And these projects reach so far, so fast, when that's never been what success looks like. It's always just these tiny little steps forward, one little thing at a time, until eventually you have this like reliable, stable product. And by the end of it, Tari was trying to fix the way that things were mined, try to fix the way that smart contracts could be private, try to fix the way that, you know, your on and off ramps for all of these different cryptos. And one of the things that I think Xano has actually learned, this is one of the reasons, ladies and gentlemen, why you have to be at Monerotopia. So I'm a fly on a wall listening to Paul from Edge Wallet talk to Xano team. And he basically just like, you know, as a older, like wiser developer guy who's seen so much of this world for so long, talking to these very promising gentlemen, you know, why don't you scale back your scope a little bit? You just told me about this feature you want to do and this feature you want to do. And so, but what value does it actually bring? Why don't you just focus on your core project? Because there's stuff there that's working that people want. And sure enough, that's what they did. Like, so you see people learning their lesson, like Xano is, where, you know, don't let the scope creep ruin things. Just kind of focus in on what you have working and make it better. And then the other side of it was just how much Tari evolved and changed over such a narrow little window of time. How could you even plan something like that?
Let's go ahead and run the viewers on stage segment, guys, so we can bring people up.
Oh, we never ran the segment. All right. I thought we did.
Didn't. It's just
all right. Let's run the segment.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
Yeah, see, we had Alaska, yourself, and me, but I'm like, if there's anybody else who wants to come up, we haven't run the stage segment yet, so we can't bring them up. So we need to do that.
Yeah. I just didn't see people jumping up, but yeah, guys, jump on up. I don't see anybody up here right now in backstage.
I mean, if we're it, that's fine, but I just wanted to give other people the chance to jump up if they're there.
Yes, good point.
Sweet. I've been up for like 40 hours, so I was really hoping somebody else would try to take it.
Come on, guys. Nobody wants to talk. What's going on?
There's so much happening out there. Then we can always just end it and go home.
Yeah, we could do that. I got fam stuff to do. We covered a lot today. We did a quick show. We crammed a lot in. We had a great guest, not an FBI honeypot. I'm sure he'll jump on future shows. You guys can check out his work. You can find him on X. He posts a lot of videos regarding privacy tech, price report. We had a long news session. We touched upon the Tari stuff. And it's Monero's birthday today. It is Monero's birthday. Like, come on. Where is everybody? Yo, what's going on?
Maybe
Alaska, what happened here?
Maybe they're out celebrating.
They're out celebrating. Yeah, maybe.
I'm actually
make a big enough deal of it.
I'm actually probably going to be transferring my domain over to a Monero hosting provider.
Okay, what domain?
I have a domain for my email or whatever, and so before I was using this domain registrar called Porkbun, and they only accept stable coins and Ethereum now, and I'm like, I don't want to use stable coins or Ethereum, so I looked and I found a domain registrar that accepts Monero directly, so I'm transferring my domain over.
Awesome. What's the service?
It's called Incog, INCOG net, N-E-T. Incognet.io is the service. And so
are they on XMR Bazaar? Are they on Monerica? They should be.
They are on Monerica. That's where I found them. Because I asked the Monero community and they recommended Mine Inbox, and then somebody recommended Incognet, and I decided to go with Incognet.
Mm-hmm.
Haven racks can't come soon enough, man. We need it so bad. That and actual hardware manufacturers. If we could get like quality hardware manufacturers and Haven racks gets finished and in place, that's a lot of ifs. But I don't know if anybody can do it. It's Flynn, bro. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah, maybe we could move XMR Bazaar over to that if it's easy enough. Right now we use 1984 hosting. But yeah. Yeah, so XMR Bazaar announcements. Like I said, we launched the .onion, so people can visit the Onion address using the Tor browser, which is very cool. And I believe Anarchio has fixed it, so it now works as a app on your phone, essentially, like a progressive web app, right? So you're not downloading an application, but
yes, I actually have it on my phone as a PWA.
Oh, is it functioning well as one? Do you? Because you said you could set up notifications and everything, and those should start to.
I haven't gotten that to work. So the app itself does work. Like I was able to use it, and it doesn't have like the little thing with the URL box anymore. Things like that work, but I have not gotten notifications to work. So I've got to figure that out.
And what do you have it on? You're using?
I'm using Lineage OS.
Okay. Do you have phones to test it on as well? Just curious.
Just my personal phone.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I know you already basically do so much in helping us out, but if you wanna help out in a more official manner, please let me know, Shortwave, because I'm always looking for somebody that can just help like test things and just give feedback to Anarchio, because I'm slow to do it. If you're interested in that, I could pay. We could come up with some arrangement.
Will do. I might think about it. It's not something I've really thought about doing, but I'll give it a thought and let you know.
Yeah, I mean, I figure you kind of already do it, right? So if you're interested, it could be on a task by task, but
Yeah, it's because it's kind of something.
You don't have to feel like that you're you owe it, that you need to be on all the time. It would just be at your availability.
Yeah, because I already do just a lot of it in my free time. I'm like, ooh, there's a PWA now. Yes, please. Let me download this and try it out.
No, I greatly appreciate that, but we could try it offline, because there are instances where he's like, oh, I launched this. Can somebody go test it? So it'd be as simple as that, which you're kind of already doing, but you'll get some Monero tips as well, right? Might as well.
Right.
All right. I guess we could cut it there, guys. Justice, if you wanna roll it, we do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. See you guys next Saturday, I believe, at normal time. I think I'll have a Monero talk this week. Yeah, guys, enjoy.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, ODYSEE, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.